Hey everyone, good afternoon and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Coram and Ed Carson here with a breakdown of the action in today's session and a look at how the week played out and what a week it was. We saw the market rally kick things into high gear, Ed, fueled by artificial intelligence. Should intelligent investors be putting more money to work?
Yeah, it's definitely that's a good question. There's definitely some really strong action. It was a little uneven, but I want to take a look at three stocks that are not AI focused. See if there's any breadth that we can there. Lifetime Group, Meritage Homes, and MercadoLibre.
Okay, we will take a look at those three stocks, but first I'll look at the major indexes. So pretty notable gains for the week and didn't budge a whole lot on Friday, even though investors digested Fed-related headlines, debt ceiling headlines. We saw the NASDAQ down 0.25% today, the Dow off 0.3%, the S&P down 0.1%, and the Russell down 0.6% today. But if you take a look at a weekly chart, especially of the NASDAQ here, Ed, looks like a pretty clear breakout.
Yeah, the NASDAQ looks really strong, and there was a little bit more breadth within the NASDAQ. Went from it had been really limited to a lot of the mega caps. Definitely was a more expansion, more chips, more software. Really strong gains here. A lot of those were AI focused, not all of them, but a lot of them had an AI, play to them. So that was nice to see that. There were some stocks that flashed buy signals in the NASDAQ, so some of them are now extended. But NASDAQ looks great.
Yeah, and looking at how many weeks we had with such tight closes, we finally got out of this trading range that we had developed for a number of weeks, Ed. And if you go back to May 10th, that was the day that we did get a close above this area, and IEBD upgraded the market outlook to uptrend resumes, and the uptrend has resumed. How long it lasts from here is the question. It seems like right around 13,000, maybe a little higher, could be the next level to watch. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a really good area to look at. I was in NASDAQ 100 has already cleared that level. It's already at a 52-week high. You could almost argue that like, oh, wow, is that due for a pullback? I think next week's NVIDIA earnings are going to be really important, because if you had to think about it, like it's a mega cap, it's AI focused, it's more than doubled in 2023. I mean, there'd be nothing wrong with a pause or a modest pullback. So that would be fine, and it would probably be healthy for NVIDIA. Certainly don't want to see a big sell-off, next week, because that would probably also ripple out to a lot of other names too. So that's something to watch. But I think that the NASDAQ really has been showing strength here.
That it has. And speaking of breadth, let's take a look at QQQ versus QQEW. And I'm going to zoom back in on a daily chart. Before the week, up about 2.5%. It does seem like we've seen some improvement beyond, as you said, just those mega cap techs. We're seeing a little bit of broadening of strength, it appears.
Yeah, I mean, these are still big cap names. We're talking about the NASDAQ 100, mostly techs, non-financial. So, but it did take off late in the mid-late week, showing strength really for the first time in a while. That was encouraging.
Okay, and then we'll look at SPY versus RSP. So here's a look at SPY, RSP. This is the equal weight S&P 500 ETF. Still not seeing improvement in this area too much, Ed. We can take a look at a weekly chart. We did see a gain of about 1%, but no clear break of the downtrend.
Yeah, the RSP, that's showing a little bit more weakness, and that's just been a consistent problem. It was just starting to show some life on Thursdays. Oh, we get a little bit more, maybe things, but yeah, definitely something to watch. And you can see that relative strength line, how it's deteriorated. In the last several months, just really come down hard after basically being in line with the S&P. There wasn't that much of a difference, and then all of a sudden it's just all fallen apart. So that's still something we want to see get
Mm-hmm.
better.
Right. And I guess one might wonder, though, Ed, if we wait to have the comfort of strength in RSP or other indicators and every group swimming in the right direction, have we missed the early stages of a move? Or is there always going to be that worry that the market rally is going to have to combat?
Yeah, that is it. Look, it has been a little tougher this time, but there's always that kind of situation. You don't know when things really just get going. It's like, was it really going to happen or is it going to fall back? And we have had a lot of false starts in addition to this being a somewhat split market. Yeah, so that's a situation where, this is why we talk about adding positions gradually. Okay, noticing seeing the strength, knowing it's a little uneven, but maybe taking little positions here. And if they work, keep on going. And some of them really worked. And just not going massively into it on any given day. Just if things are working, gradually expand and treat it that way. So you don't want to ignore when the market is showing strength, even when it is a little uneven. But you just have to take that into account. You just have to try to be careful as you step in.
Yes. And now let's take a look at blue chips. Here's the Dow, not seeing the same kind of strength that we're seeing in tech stocks for blue chips.
Yeah, with the Dow and the RSP, they were looking pretty weak on Tuesday. You pointed out how May 10th was a big deal for the NASDAQ, but not so much for these indexes. And, it got below the 50-day line on Tuesday, closing below there for the first time in a while. So I was like, oh boy, this is not looking good. And then, boy, there was a turnaround. I mean, not that much of a turnaround for the Dow, but that shows you how quickly things can turn when you're in a sideways market, when it's a little uneven. Things can look very bearish and then quickly turn to very bullish in a very short time.
Yes. And IWM, this is the ETF that tracks the Russell 2000 that's going to be pulling up here. Would be great to see more participation from small cap stocks, Ed. And we did see some strength on Wednesday, Thursday, a downside reversal today. But for the week, let's see how things shook out here for the Russell, up about 1.9%. So closing above the 10-week line, we still have that 40-week line to conquer.
Yeah, so there's improvement. Bank stocks generally did well. They came down on Friday, but definitely that helped out. So there was some more breadth. It just was a little tentative. The expansion of the breadth was okay. That's nice, but we want to need to see a lot more of it consistently to feel a lot better about that.
Mm-hmm. And let's take a look at the 10-year Treasury yield, 0TNX in Market Smith, up a whopping 6.6% this week. So what are your thoughts, Ed, with seeing a climbing 10-year yield while we're seeing a tech rally?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We have weaker economic data overseas, but stronger in the U.S., and that's helping out. Maybe optimism that people feel like, that you aren't worried about a debt ceiling crisis, and there may be that may mean the Treasury is going to unleash a bunch of new debt because they'll be able to raise the debt. They'll be issuing a lot more. But this could be a headwind for the market, especially for growth stocks. It's ironic that some of the more aggressive growth names were the big leaders this week, because you would think that those would be getting hit, but not yet so far. That hasn't hit so far. Sometimes things happen. The market ignores something until it doesn't. So we'll have to see if that suddenly becomes an issue.
Okay. And we also like looking at the dollar, which did come off a little bit on Friday, but the last 2 weeks, we did see a notable advance, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, that's related to the yields and also the weakness overseas. The U.S. looks stronger, dollar's improving.
Mm-hmm. And now let's take a look at software stocks at the chip sector. So here's the IGV ETF. Software stocks really kicked it up a notch this week, Ed, with IGV up 5.25%.
Yeah, really big move. And it's not, okay, yeah, this is geared towards some of those mega cap software names, but there was a lot of software names, big and small, a lot of them AI related or beaten down cloud names that are coming up. So really strong. Nice to see this kind of breadth.
And I mentioned chips, so here's a look at SMH, a big week for chips, with SMH up 8.5%, and it seems like we saw a lot of entries for potentially actionable names in this sector this week.
Yeah, and this is, you were saying, you don't want to let them all go. I mean, and some of them are gone, and that's so you have to be ready for that. But some really big moves. It's amazing. Again, this was something just a week ago was not
Right.
looking so good. It was like, oof, if we saw any more losses, you'd start to really be concerned. But then it just turned on.
Right. There's a reason why we look at these indexes and ETFs on weekly, if not daily basis, Ed, because all of a sudden, like you said, one day can be the day that things really start to turn. And it seems like the beginning of this week was that time for the chip sector. And now let's take a look at LTH. This is Lifetime Group Holdings with a setup. So a non-tech name, no earnings coming, but we did see a nice move on earnings towards the end of April and a pretty constructive pullback in the works.
Yeah, so it's really tightening up. It's been finding support at the 21-day line. It pulled back a little bit and came off in part because some other gym operators had bad results, but Lifetime is, it's been doing well, and so it's holding. We've seen a number of stocks like this, so they broke out after running up and now have pulled back to right around their buy points, and that's basically what this has done. If you want to treat this as a high handle, well, you'd probably buy it on the breakout of that handle, the downtrend, which would be the same thing as the cut-based buy point. Yeah, so it's the same thing there. It is profitable again. It's that's trending up again. It's trying to take advantage of the pickleball craze, and so definitely read about that. It was our IBD stock of the day today.
All right, definitely need to check that out. And now let's take a look at MTH. From LTH to MTH, Meritage. This is one of those builder stocks that has been performing so well this year. And we did get a pullback this week to the 10-week line. Shares down just shy of 4%, but it's been able to find support at or above this 10-week line all year long.
Yeah, and I think you could sort of treat this as the first test, or the real test since clearing the base. If nothing else, so this could, and it's actually back in the buy zone technically of that prior base. But if it rebounds from here, it's not going to show because it's so well. But if it rebounds from here, maybe gets back above Friday's high or the 21-day line kind of thing, that could provide an entry in it. In another week, this would become a flat base. So that could be a new opportunity because some of these home builders have been running for a while and haven't really offered an opportunity. Right. So that's something out there. It's not there yet, and we'll see how things go. They've weathered, for the most part. This one pulled back, but a lot of them really weathered the higher rates this week very well. So nice pullback here. See if it can rebound, offer an opportunity in the coming days.
And while volume did pick up, it was roughly average this week. It still doesn't stand out or stick out like a sore thumb compared with the nice up volume that this stock has had since bottoming.
Yeah, this one really had nice volume as it was breaking out a few weeks ago. You're right.
Okay, and last but not least, let's take a look at MercadoLibre. It too is finding support along its 10-week line, and it does look like it's forming a new base here, Ed. There's some pretty clear resistance that the stock has formed.
Yeah, you probably could have treated it as a flat base for a while because it sort of had, barely got above, where it was. So it's been sort of consolidating for 7 weeks, but now it really will have a flat base on a weekly basis. It'll show up in MarketSmith in a couple hours is basically what it'll do. So right at 1337 kind of thing. So it had a really negative reversal on earnings. I mean, that was ugly, but it's come back. And so after that day, it's traded at the 50-day line since then. The numbers still look really strong on this one. So this is one that has been acting very well, and nice to see that growth. Not a whole lot of things, especially outside of some of these AI kind of things. You're not, some of the growth levels that this one has had are really impressive. So that's something to be looking at down the road, but hasn't quite moved out yet.
All right, Ed. Well, as we look to next week, clearly NVIDIA going to be very important to this market. What else should we be thinking about for the week ahead?
Well, I mean, I think that you've got to take advantage of these things, as you say early on. What you want to do is have to be ready. So this is why you want to have your watch list ready, so you can get it. Not like, oh wow, that's moved up 8%. Oh my, it's like at that point, well, it's already getting up there. Now, as it turned out, some of those names kept on running, but that hasn't really been the pattern of the past several months. You don't want to be buying extended stocks. You want to have those watch lists ready. And on some of these extended names, you may also want to consider taking partial profits. You have to, or at least at the very least, have a game plan. Well, what is your strategy for these things? Because some of them have made huge moves. Look, NVIDIA has doubled. So if you bought that, you wanted to hold out the whole way through. But something like on just tumbled 20% this week. So what do you do in that? Like obviously it's still up, for the year, but for people buying it on the breakout, they probably have wiped out all their gains. So you have to balance the possibility of massive gains with also making sure that you don't lose all your gains, because we have seen some of these round trips as well in this kind of volatile sidetrack market. Maybe we're now in a different mindset, but definitely have a game plan for your winners as well.
We'll have to see what next week brings us, but thank you so much, Ed, for your analysis and insights. Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for watching. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll be back with more on Monday, starting with IEBD Live in the morning. And we hope you tune in for our daily morning live stream, investors.com/IEBD Live, where we will get the team's thoughts on where we're at in this market, trade ideas, portfolio management strategies, and so much more. So we'll see you there. And again, have a great weekend. Bye now.